Greetings YouTube, this is BJ Black and you're watching part 21 of my Momus Quest Paradox RPG Let's Play. Today I'm going to finish up some character quests. One of them is Pochi here, who wants to talk to all the dog girls we can find in the world. Another is Gigi, who wants to visit the Safari ruins. And another is Lisa. She has a request that we need to go talk to her about. So unlike most quests starting here, we actually need to speak to her in order to initiate the quest. Like so. See, she says that there's a picture that she wants to see. In her world it was destroyed, but in this world it must exist somewhere. She gives us our first hint. It's in San Ilia, according to the records. Pochi says she's interested in that too. So I put her in my party and let's head to San Ilia. You may recall a very long time ago, we came down into the library and saw something I told you to remember. Did you remember it? Be honest. So, it's a nice picture. But Lisa takes a look at it and asks if it's the one. And Pochi says that it doesn't smell particularly good. Yep, Lisa's eyes and Pochi's nose are not fooled. This isn't the right one. Luca notices some writing on the forehead. And according to this is in fact a reproduction. And the original was taken to Miran Mansion in 1412. Miran Mansion. That's the haunted mansion up north. Oh, now that we mention it, in Chrome's room there was another nice picture. So let's head there. So lazy. So you might think that you could just skip the one in San Ilia and come to this first, because this is the objective. But even if you have the quest, you need to go to San Ilia first before this event will trigger properly. And Lisa approves of this painting. She feels that it's just so beautiful. And Pochi thinks that it has a very nice smell. Now the two of them get to talk about how happy they are and how beautiful it was. How they were able to do it after all this time and how tired they are. Well, Lisa does most of the talking. Pochi kind of rolls up. Now she's feeling sleepy. And that was a thing that happened. So Lisa and Pochi both get the Shoten Shoten immunity. Shoten is the status effect that automatically kills you. One of 3 or 4 of them. And it represents being forced into an enlightened state where you go to heaven right away. In other words, your body dies. Ah, that's so sad. Alright, let's go. And just to prove that the developers were doing the right thing, it does in fact kill both Lisa and Pochi straight out of your party. Now, next up, let's do Pochi's quest. I didn't do Pochi's quest going on through here because I wanted to test Lisa's quest. Whether you could accept the quest and complete the quest without recruiting Pochi. It turns out you can't. So here's our first dog girl. She says the people in this town are nice, and she likes them. Pochi says that this dog girl's been tamed. Kept as a pet and defanged. But they do give pretty good food, so it's not that bad. Pochi kinda has mixed feelings about this whole thing. After that, happiness Mura. Do you remember how many dog girls there are in the world? I didn't until I had to do this quest. They're kind of invisible until you need them, like a good NPC. And this dog girl says that she really loves honey. And Pochi says this one has also been tamed and defanged. But she wants to have some honey too. Midas doesn't have one. Enrica has one. So, she got someone bought her these dog girl slippers. Slippers especially for dog girls. This way her heels don't get sore. And Pochi gripes about this as well. Being tamed with food and also given special clothes. Being fed and sheltered, they're all going soft. Her brethren are. But the Nikku patterned slippers are pretty cute. That could be translated as footprint. But it's a particular kind of footprint. You notice this dog girl has those slippers on it? The Nikku is that footprint you see on the slippers. The Japanese have a word for that, and there isn't any particular word for that kind of animal footprint in English. Alright, next town. Eliasport. This one was kind of hard to find because this dog girl doesn't hang out outdoors. This dog girl gets the feeling that she's getting more important by being here, hanging around in this academy. Pochi complains that she's getting sucked into human life. Maybe she's planning on taking over from the inside? No, not really. Natalia Port. Bark, bark! You can tame a man with food. You can tame... no. You can tame a man with money. And you can tame a man with food. But you can't tame a dog girl. Yeah, that's not right. Does anybody know what that's from? I believe the proper line has Wolf of Mibu in it. And then in the Luddite village. There's the dog girl in San Ilia. And bark bark. Even in this holy city, another defanged brethren. She's lost her pride somewhere. Although, dog girls don't really have pride to begin with. If you give them food, they wag their tail and everything. Savasa? Oh yes, there's one. Bark, bark! Even in the blazing desert, another tamed brethren. Maybe she's happy to be walking with humans. But why is it so hot here? Rando. I'm sure there's one here. Most of the time you just walk straight up and they're right in front of you. Wah 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 wah. She's singing. But Pochi's gonna try it too. Wah wah wah. Magistea. Sarun. This should be the last one. Kun kun. She's sniffing about. Yet another defanged dog. People keep giving us food and softening us up. Completely tamed and domesticated. Pochi says if you want to tame her, you better bring bone-in meat. And this text box indicates that you've found all of them. And she starts saying other things. She thinks to herself, maybe they haven't all been tamed. Dog girls are originally beasts, so if they didn't like it, they would run away. Rather than saying tamed, perhaps it's coexistence. The dog girls get a lot of food out of the deal, and the humans get... Well, Pochi doesn't quite understand what the humans are getting out of it. Mutual beneficial relationship. It's pretty ideal, actually. And Pochi came to understand it. And now we get the Beast's Understanding book. I think Pochi's dialogues were all internal because Sonia here just says that she noticed that Pochi likes to talk to other dog girls. Bark, bark. So that takes care of Pochi. Ooh. While we're here at Saloon, I mentioned Gigi wanted to go to the Safari Desert Ruins. Hey, notice this. So, Gigi feels the energy of the earth. Her whiskers are all a twitch. But catfish are naturally tied to the earth, so she already can use that. But she wants elemental power, so she's gonna use the earth for something. And she gets Ice Pillar, of all things. And Inazuma, Lightning. Alright, if you say so. So that's that, and she gets her skills. Funny how nobody else has anything to say about it. And now we can get into the proper part of this, the post-game. Do you remember picking up the key that the White Rabbit dropped in the second town? It comes to this door. This is our first time entering, so the Shinigami is going to speak to us. She says this is, well, the afterlife, underworld, something like that. And now that we've beaten the game, we can go to the Labyrinth of Chaos. We can go to that bookcase over there to enter that. It's only for if we're really powerful, however. And there's a few things the Shinigami can do for us. Yeah, first of all, the first time we talk to her, she's surprised to see that we're here with our living bodies. And she recognizes it as some trick the White Rabbit's pulled. She's such a prankster. Fine, do whatever you please. But the only one who will remember our actions here is Luca himself. Our companions that we brought along are not exactly here and not exactly not here. They are visions of the companions we know. So she talks. This is what she says at the end of the game, to say that we went so far as to bring Adela Milk into her region, into her space. So troublesome. She again repeats that the Labyrinth of Chaos is over at the bookshelf. And this is what we can do with her. This first one lets you change the difficulty. The second one lets you challenge the Shinigami to a fight. We're not ready for that. This is where you can do a New Game Plus. If you want to restart the game from the beginning with all your characters at the level you got to, this is the one. You can also pick the other guide if you want to. We picked Ilias, so we could pick Alice that time. And also when you get to Magistea village, you could defeat Lily and recruit Lucia instead as well. Now this one is very important. This kicks out all of the male characters in your group, except for the very story important one. The kind of story important one. That guy who joined your group and you can't get rid of now. Anyway, I will kick all the other guys out of my party because I don't like them. But the King of San Ilia, the Pope guy, remains in your party even after that. I do want to mention that if you challenge the Shinigami, she isn't going to fight you immediately. She summons up a vision of Alice, the adult form of Alice, for you to fight first. She is considerably stronger than the final boss, even stronger than the Sphinx. So you're not likely to defeat even Alice, to say nothing of the Shinigami, which is the second portion of challenging her here. And I don't even know how hard she is. So post-game bosses would be first Nanabi in the Cave of Treasures. She's about as tough as the final boss. And the Sphinx in the Pyramid, who is got 40% more life, so considerably harder. Or it'd be better to say that Adela Milk has 40% less life than the Sphinx. And then Alice V's the 16th in her adult form. You can fight at the Shinigami. And then finally the Shinigami herself. Here at this bookcase you can refight all the enemies you want. Oh. I'm still berserked. So if you do these fights, you get no experience and no gold and no job experience, no dropped items. So if you just... So the only purpose you would have for fighting any of them again is to steal things from them. And as for these girls hanging about here, these are all the bosses you've defeated, and you can challenge them in the same way. Again, they don't drop anything, although they do give you gold. They don't do items or experience. So basically the only reason you'd want to do this is to steal from them. Here's the Slug Stars, Nuruko, Hilde, Maya, Morgan and Astaroth, the bunny slime from the beginning of the game. Presumably if you fought Lily instead of Lucia, Lily would be here instead of her. I know that if you've beaten Anabi, she appears somewhere in this vicinity. And the Sphinx as well. But anyway, this Labyrinth of Chaos. This is what it looks like. At least what it starts at. The Shinigami can explain what happens here. If you go in, you go to a random map. The enemies are much, much stronger than you're used to. And none of the encounter reduction, the abilities or the item, will work here. So you have to encounter enemies. Hey look, a free item. The deeper you get, the rarer the items get. Until you get to a point where you can get items that you cannot actually find anywhere else in the game. I'm surprised I'm not dead yet. In order to get by down here, you need to typically be at the level cap of level 30. And then you want to get some good jobs equipped. Put in... Oh, there we lost. Unlike most of the rest of the game, there are no scenes that occur if you lose here in the labyrinth. Every 10 levels there's a boss you can fight, and also a treasure chest containing a seed that raises attributes or a small medal. Although after a while the small medals are kind of useless, so they still pop up more frequently than the seeds. Or about as frequently as the seeds. If you really want to get through the labyrinth very far, you'd want to do a lot of grinding for stat seeds. Particularly the defense seeds you can get from the Clam Girls at the Natalia region coast, and the power seeds you can get from the Sandworm in the Safaru ruins. Speaking of which, oh yes, the first time you exit that room, Elias here will accuse you of standing at the wall staring at it. She says nothing's gonna happen. But Luke explains that he went to the underworld. Elias refuses to accept that any such place even exists. I mean, if she doesn't know about it, it doesn't. Nothing to say to that. So, like the Shinigami told us, that's not going to work. Or, rather, nobody's going to remember it except for us. And just before I end here, I'll show you the Sandworm Girl. She shows up only on this screen. Yeah. Here we have one right off the bat. No, I'm still berserked. So that's the fight's gonna go. And I won't be able to steal from her. But you can steal power seeds from those girls. And that covers all of my notes for this post-game. So that will be it for today. But before I end, I told you I recruited a couple. I told you at the end of the last video. No, I told you in the comment of the last video. that I would do some off-screen work before coming and doing this post-game. That was recruiting Lisa, the painting girl, Geist Bean, and I also recruited Pochi as an experiment. I thought that recruiting Lisa would take a long time because the recruitment rate down in the final dungeon is abysmally low. And then, as it turns out, I entered the dungeon and I got 3 encounters, and then she joined my party. As if to spite me. But this concludes my Let's Play. The only thing I'm really thinking about doing now is making a guide of where all the seeds you can find in the world are. But don't hold your breath on that. I'm not even promising I'll do it. See you later, YouTube.